What's up, guys? Dragonfly Mike 77. Today's going to be another Mixology episode. We're going to be talking about bitterness. But before I get into it, let me take a poke. Now, bitterness is a really hard taste to talk about in mixology because bitterness actually comes from bases and not acidity. And when it comes to mixology, that's when things start to get a little weird. Now, in alcohol mixology, they do have bitters, and those bitters can be a wide range of flavors. Sometimes they even have like orange bitters and grapefruit bitters. And in shisha mixology, we don't really have bitter flavors. They do have some that could fall under bitterness, which is chocolate and coffee. Now, chocolate for us tends to be more of a dessert flavor, while Bunch, for example, does have a dark chocolate. It airs more on the sweetness. The one that we can talk about is coffee. Now, coffee is a very interesting taste when it comes to mixology because coffee is not only bitter, but it's also acidic, which are actually two opposite aspects of a pH scale. Most flavors that are bitter tend to be much higher on the pH scale, and they do end up being bases. So coffee is a very unique flavor to end up working with. But let me take a poke. Now, truth be told, I don't have a lot of experience with coffee because way back when there was like Nocla cappuccino and Alfaca cappuccino, and I was really not a big fan of those flavors. However, in the new age of shisha mixology and the way that flavors are done, I've heard really good things about what brands are doing with coffee. So that is on a list of flavors that I need to try. Now, a flavor that to me can fit into bitterness is pomegranate. While pomegranate juice tends to be really, really sweet, in the shisha world, I have found that pomegranate type flavors tend to be more of kind of like the rind of a pomegranate. And because of that, you kind of get a little bitterness to it. So it's a flavor where I use it very similar to how you use alcohol bitters. You're only using a drop. So when you're using pomegranate, it's not necessarily about creating a mix with pomegranate in it. It's about adding that bitterness to a mix. Let me take another poke for you. Bitterness is a really hard subject to talk about in shisha mixology. And what I would like to see is I would like to see brands start to come out with actual bitter flavors where instead of making a sweet orange, they make more of a bitter orange that you can start adding to just a little bit to mixes. And the reason for that is because of flavors like juniper berry, which is how they make gin. You could really start to dive into mixology and start creating these really complex actual mixology recipes in the shisha world if we started to expand more into the bitterness. I can understand this might be a little more of a niche type thing, but these type of flavors, when we're talking about pomegranate or coffee, can actually sweeten up mixes by cutting into the acidity, very similar to how I use some of the base flavors and sweetness, where its objective is to actually balance out that pH concept and make things sweeter by adding bitterness to it. It's kind of an odd thing, but it actually does end up working that way when you have the right quantities. And getting to the right quantities is about personal taste and trial and error. Because some flavors are just stronger than others. So if they had a grapefruit bitter, you may have to use a little less of it, a little more of it. It's really about just finding that balance when it comes to flavors that enter into bitterness. But with that, I think that's all I got, and thanks for watching, guys. Peace out.